If your relationships are falling apart, it's not fate, it's you. Harsh? Maybe, but here's the truth. Every argument that spirals out of control, every misunderstanding that lingers, and every emotional explosion that leaves both sides drained, these aren't random acts of chaos. They're a reflection of your inability to control what's happening between your ears. You're letting emotions take the wheel, reacting when you should be responding, and that's killing your connections. But here's where things get interesting. What if I told you that the same principles that guided emperors and warriors through life's most brutal challenges could also help you build unshakable relationships? Stoicism is not just about standing firm in the face of adversity, it's about mastering yourself so you can handle everything life throws at you, including the chaos of human relationships. Stoicism teaches you to stay calm when emotions run high, to listen when others lash out, and to respond with wisdom instead of impulsive anger. By the end of this video, you'll discover how to handle conflict like a Stoic by diffusing tension before it explodes, how to communicate with clarity, empathy, and strength, how to build deeper relationships and connection by staying composed when it matters most. This isn't theory. This is a blueprint for transforming your relationships by transforming yourself first. Stick around because by the time we're done, you won't just know how Stoicism can improve your relationships. You'll have the tools to build bonds that can withstand anything. Debunking misconceptions. Why most people get Stoicism wrong. The first misconception. Stoicism means suppressing emotions. This is the biggest lie people tell themselves about Stoicism. They think being Stoic means becoming a cold, emotionless robot detached from the world and indifferent to the people they care about. Wrong. Stoicism doesn't tell you to suppress emotions. It teaches you to master them. Imagine a warrior standing in the midst of chaos. His heart pounds, adrenaline surges, but he doesn't lose control. He feels everything, but he chooses his responses. That's Stoicism. It's not about killing emotion, it's about learning to ride the wave without being drowned by it. Think of it like this. Emotions are wild horses. Untrained, they'll run you into ground. But Stoicism doesn't kill the horse, it trains it. It teaches you to tame that raw energy and direct it towards something meaningful. You're not suppressing emotion, you're mastering it. The second misconception. Stoics don't care about relationships. This one's laughable. Some people think Stoics walk through life alone, indifferent to connection or love, but anyone who's read Marcus Aurelius knows that's not true. Marcus wrote extensively about patience, kindness, and understanding others. He reminded himself daily to meet people where they are, to forgive, to empathize, to practice compassion. And Seneca, he spoke of the importance of friendship, urging us to choose our companions wisely and cherish those who make us better. Stoicism doesn't make you detached, it makes you more present. It helps you engage with others from a place of strength, not desperation. When you're no longer ruled by your emotions, you can truly show up for the people who matter. Third misconception. Stoicism makes you a pushover. Another myth. People think that because Stoics avoid unnecessary conflict, they're weak, doormats who let others walk all over them, not even close. Stoicism teaches you to choose your battles wisely. There's a difference between restraint and weakness. A Stoic knows that reacting emotionally often weakens their position. Strength is in control, not chaos. It's easy to lash out. It's harder to hold your ground without losing your composure. When you stay calm during conflict, you're not backing down. You're taking the power back. You decide when and how to engage. That's not weakness, that's strength under control. Fourth misconception. Stoicism is for solitude, not connection. Here's another falsehood. People assume that because Stoics focus on self-mastery, they must prefer isolation, living in a cave, meditating on life's mysteries. Stoicism isn't about isolation, it's about harmony. Marcus Aurelius constantly reflected on his role in the greater community. He believed that living in harmony with others is part of living according to nature. A true Stoic thrives in relationships because they've mastered themselves first. When you're no longer ruled by impulse or ego, You can show up in relationships as your best self, patient, present, and compassionate. Stoicism doesn't pull you away from others, it prepares you to engage with them more thoughtfully. So my friends, if you've bought into any of these misconceptions, it's time to leave them behind. Stoicism isn't about indifference, it's about discipline. It's not weakness, it's strength. And it's not about pushing people away, it's about showing up for them with more clarity, patience, and wisdom than ever before. Now that we've cleared that up, let's dive into how Stoicism can actually transform our relationships. Let us answer the biggest questions about Stoicism and relationships. First big question: how can Stoicism help me handle arguments better? Let's get one thing straight: most arguments don't destroy relationships. How you handle them does. Think about the last time you had a blowout fight. Did it escalate because of what was said or because of how you reacted? Exactly. We react impulsively, we let emotions hijack the moment, and suddenly we're saying things we can't take back. Here's what Stoicism teaches you. Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself one powerful question before responding. Is this in my control? That's straight from Marcus Aurelius' playbook. When you stop to ask that, you interrupt the emotional spiral. You take back control, you choose reason over impulse. Practice the Stoic pause. When tension rises, give yourself 3 seconds, breathe, reflect, respond like a king, not a pawn. Second big question: will Stoicism make me too detached to care about my partner? This is a big fear. People worry that if they stop reacting emotionally, they'll come off as cold or distant, like they've stopped caring. But that's not Stoicism, that's misunderstanding Stoicism. Detachment doesn't mean indifference, it means clarity. A Stoic doesn't stop caring, they stop being controlled by caring too much. When you detach from impulsive emotions, you gain the space to think clearly, act wisely, and make decisions that serve the relationship, not sabotage it. Imagine your partner lashes out. Instead of snapping back, a Stoic pauses and asks, is responding with anger gonna fix this or make it worse? A Stoic stays calm and focused, making decisions that strengthen the bond, not tear it apart. That's not coldness, that's control, and control builds trust. Third big question: how do I balance being emotionally available while staying in control? Here's where most people get stuck. They think they have to choose to be vulnerable or to be strong, but Stoicism doesn't make you choose. It teaches you to do both. Stoicism is about self-awareness and presence. You can acknowledge emotions without letting them drive your actions. Think of emotions like waves. You feel them, you observe them, but you don't get swept away. When emotions arise, give yourself a 3-second gap to assess. What am I feeling? Is this reaction serving me or hurting me? That tiny Stoic pause gives you power. It lets you stay emotionally present without losing control. Fourth big question: can Stoicism actually improve communication and understanding? Absolutely. In fact, Stoicism makes you a better communicator than 99% of people out there. Most people talk to be heard. Stoics listen to understand. They don't speak just to fill the silence. They speak when their words will make a difference. Here's the Stoic advantage. Stoicism teaches you to control your ego in conversations. You don't listen just to reply. You listen to grasp what's really being said. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. This is Epictetus' golden rule. When you speak, ask yourself, will my words improve the situation or just add noise? If they won't, stay silent. Silence often carries more weight than words ever could. Fifth big question: what's the first step in applying Stoicism to relationships? Most people think transformation requires a grand, dramatic overhaul. It doesn't. You don't need to meditate on a mountaintop for years. You just need to start with one simple shift. Before reacting, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Does this require a response, or can I let it go? 9 times out of 10, the answer is let it go. Build a habit of pausing and reflecting before reacting. This single practice alone can transform your relationships. It gives you power over impulsive responses and opens the door to thoughtful, deliberate action. The bottom line is, these aren't just theoretical ideas. These are real, actionable tools you can start using today to handle conflict better. Stay connected while staying in control and build relationships that stand the test of time. And now that we've answered the biggest questions, it's time to give you the exact strategies to apply Stoicism in your relationships. Let me be blunt. If you think Stoicism will make you cold, unfeeling, or distant, you're wrong. If you fear it will turn you into some detached robot, void of empathy, you've misunderstood the entire philosophy. Stoicism isn't emotional exile, it's emotional mastery. It doesn't strip you of your humanity, it refines it. It makes you calmer, sharper, and harder to manipulate. So if you've been holding back from practicing Stoicism in your relationships because of certain concerns, let's address them head on. Because here's the truth, the people with the deepest connections aren't the ones who drown in their emotions. They're the ones who can stand firm in the storm. They can feel without being swept away. They can care without being consumed. That's what Stoicism offers. Let's dismantle the most common fears that hold people back from applying it. But will I lose myself in the process? No, you won't lose yourself. You'll finally meet yourself. Stoicism doesn't ask you to suppress who you are. It strips away the noise, the ego, and the petty reactions clouding your true self. It sharpens your finest qualities. You'll become more deliberate with your words, more measured with your responses, and more authentic in your relationships. Imagine being the person who doesn't snap at the first sign of conflict, the one who listens without waiting to pounce with a retort, the one who offers calmness when the room is on fire. That's not losing yourself, it's becoming someone worth being. But what if my partner doesn't understand or support my Stoic approach? Then you show them, you embody it, you become the proof. Because here's the thing, you can't demand emotional maturity from others, you can only demonstrate it. When you stay composed during a heated argument, you give them a glimpse of what's possible. When you pause before reacting, you show them what restraint looks like. When you let go of petty grievances instead of clinging to them, you reveal strength they can't ignore. And when they inevitably ask, "Why are you so calm about this?" you respond simply, "Because I'm practicing responding, not reacting." No lectures, no superiority, just a living example they can't help but notice. But what if I'm the only one trying to improve the relationship? Then so be it. Real growth is rarely mutual at the same pace. One of you will always be ahead at times, and that's okay because true strength isn't waiting for the other person to meet you, it's being unshaken when they don't. You lead regardless of whether they follow. You remain composed even if they lash out. You control what is yours, your words, your actions, your dignity, and let go of what isn't. You become the calm in the storm, and when you hold your ground long enough, they'll either rise to meet you or expose their unwillingness to grow. Either way, you'll know where you stand. But is it possible to care deeply without being controlled by emotions? Yes, in fact, it's the only way to truly care. If your love or compassion depends on emotional chaos, then it's not love, it's desperation. If your empathy requires you to lose yourself in someone else's pain, then it's not empathy, it's self-destruction. Stoicism allows you to love without losing your center, to feel sadness without drowning in it, to offer kindness without needing validation in return. It frees you to care purely without being enslaved by the need for reciprocation. You'll stop overreacting not because you've stopped caring, but because you've stopped clinging. But what if I become too analytical and less empathetic? You won't. You'll become more empathetic, but without the baggage of judgment. You'll see others more clearly, not through the fog of your own ego, but through the lens of compassion. Stoicism removes the need to be right. It kills the urge to dominate. It strips away the petty pride that so often masquerades as love. You'll listen to understand, not to refute. You'll observe without projecting. That's real empathy. The kind that comes from stillness, not sentimentality. The bottom line is that you're not practicing Stoicism to win some philosophical contest. You're doing it to become someone who can love fiercely without being ruled by attachment, to be someone whose peace isn't dictated by the moods of others, to show up fully, love deeply, and still hold your ground when the winds of chaos rage. And that's the version of you that the people you love need most, not the frantic, reactionary version, the steady one. That's how Stoicism makes your relationships unbreakable. Practical Stoic strategies for better relationships. Let me ask you something. How many arguments in your life could have been avoided if you had just paused for 5 seconds? How many regrettable words could have been left unsaid? How many relationships could have been stronger if you had been calm instead of reactive? The difference between peace and chaos is often a single breath. And that's what Stoicism offers. It gives you the tools to control that breath, to widen the gap between stimulus and response, and to meet conflict with clarity rather than fury. You want stronger, more resilient relationships? Then you have to train for them. The battlefield of human connection isn't won with luck, it's won with discipline. So here are 5 Stoic strategies you can start using immediately to build bonds that can weather any storm. The first strategy, master the pause, the Stoic superpower. You will be tested, you will be criticized, you'll be misunderstood, and in those moments, your first instinct will be to react, to defend, to attack. But reaction is weakness, response is strength. The Stoic pauses. They allow the insult to hang in the air without rushing to counter it. They let the wave of anger rise and fall without being swept away. And in that pause, they ask themselves, is this in my control? Most of the time it isn't. Their partner's mood? Out of their control. Their friend's short temper? Out of their control. The only thing that is in their control is their response. And that's all that matters. So the next time someone pushes your buttons, catch yourself, pause, take a breath, and instead of reacting, respond deliberately or don't respond at all. Because sometimes the most powerful response is silence. The second strategy, practice negative visualization. Prepare for the storm before it comes. Most people hope for smooth sailing in their relationships. Stoics prepare for storms. They anticipate the misunderstandings, the disagreements, the moments of frustration. They see the fight coming before it arrives. Not because they're pessimists, but because they want to be ready. Seneca called it premeditatio malorum. The premeditation of evils is the practice of vividly imagining potential conflicts and mentally rehearsing your response. Picture it. Your partner is short-tempered. Instead of snapping back, you've already visualized it. You see yourself calmly walking away. Your colleague blames you unfairly. You've already rehearsed the moment. You respond with measured indifference instead of outrage. You don't react emotionally because you've already faced the scenario in your mind. You fought the battle before it even began. The third strategy, listen like a Stoic. Silence is your weapon. You talk too much. Most people do. They fill the silence with unnecessary explanations, justifications, and reactions. Stoics don't. Epictetus said it best. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. When you speak less, you say more. When you slow down, you catch what others miss. The subtle shifts in their tone, the emotions behind their words. You become the person who doesn't just wait for their turn to talk. You actually hear what the other person is saying. Try this. In your next conversation, commit to a full minute of silence after they finish speaking. Don't rush to respond. Don't fill the space with your thoughts. Just let their words linger. Watch how it disarms them. Watch how it makes you the calmest person in the room. The fourth strategy, set boundaries without anger. Calm is contagious. Weak people either avoid boundaries or enforce them with fury. Stoics do neither. They set boundaries like stone pillars. Calm, immovable, and resolute. No yelling, no pleading, no need for the theatrics. When someone crosses your line, you state your boundary with clarity and finality. If they push it, you repeat it without raising your voice. If they test it, you reinforce it without emotion. Because here's the truth, Boundaries are not defended with volume. They are defended with consistency. If you have to shout, you've already lost. But if you can remain calm while holding the line, you become immovable. And over time, people learn. Your calmness is not softness, it's steel. The fifth strategy: reflect and journal daily. Sharpen your relationships in the furnace of reflection. You will fail. You will lose your temper. You will say things you regret. But the Stoic doesn't waste their failures. They study them. At the end of each day, sit with your thoughts. Ask yourself, where did I lose control today? What moments tested me? What could I have done better? Write it down, not to shame yourself, but to learn, because every misstep is a lesson. Every emotional slip is a training rep, and the next day you show up stronger. The bottom line is, Stoicism isn't a philosophy, it's a practice. It's in the breath you control when anger rises. It's in the calmness you hold when chaos tempts you to react. It's in the silence you offer when others expect you to lash out. You want stronger relationships? Then stop hoping for perfect people. Instead, become the person who can handle imperfection with grace. That's Stoicism, and it will make you unbreakable. Here's the truth: you cannot control other people. You cannot force them to understand you. You cannot demand them to meet you with kindness or fairness. But you can control yourself. You can master your reactions. You can become unshakable. And when you do, your relationships transform, not because others change, but because you do. That's the power of Stoicism. It sharpens your mind, strengthens your heart, and makes you the calm, composed presence that others gravitate toward. You become the person who doesn't escalate arguments, you dissolve them. The one who doesn't drown in emotions, but navigates them with precision. And most importantly, you become the person who can love deeply without losing yourself. But here's the thing. This is just the beginning. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead of most people. You're no longer just consuming wisdom, you're applying it. And I promise you, what's coming next will take you even deeper. We're going to explore how to turn suffering into strength, how to lead with calmness in times of chaos, and how to build a life of unyielding discipline and resilience. If you're ready to become unbreakable, hit the like button right now. Subscribe and join the growing legion of thinkers, doers, and unshakable spirits here on Stoic Freeman. Because this channel isn't about empty self-help fluff. It's about philosophy you can actually use to master your life. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's one area in your relationships where you could use more Stoic strength? Is it patience, empathy, setting boundaries? Share your thoughts. I read every single one. And finally, if this video helped you, even in the smallest way, share it. Send it to a friend, a partner, or someone who needs it. Because in a world of impulsive reactions and emotional chaos, more people need the calmness and strength that Stoicism offers. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay disciplined, stay composed, and stay free.